I've got some questions for you, and there's some coming in the chat as well. And one of the first ones was, what is the sticker company that you're working with?
So we work with Sticker App. So stickerapp.com. We've just found that they're the cheapest option out there, but we are trying to also shift some of our spending to local companies. So a local Western New York based sticker company did just open up called 71 Stick. Our area code is 716, so very funny. But Sticker App is what we use, and they've been great. They do really great die cut work, and they do that back printing as well.
Can you just talk about one of the things you didn't speak about yet is your website and the power that has had for you?
Yeah, so our website desperately needs to be updated, but it does serve its purpose. So we have a website built on, and it is very much functional for everything we need it to be. There are landing pages for all our main projects. So the tool library proper, our Dare to Repair cafes, and our service days. So when people are scanning those QR codes, it's taking them directly to the website. You want to make sure that you're keeping people in that network. So, once they're on the website, are there other things for them to do? Do you have a web store? Do you have updated blog posts of, hey, this featured volunteer? Or we just launched a capital campaign to buy our building last week. So that's on our front page. That's the first thing that people see. So yeah, website cannot be understated how important of a communications vehicle that is. But for us, we need to upgrade just to something that is faster and easier to update, because again, a lot of this stuff tends to fall on one person. So if you can have a Squarespace website that multiple people are able to navigate and update, it's super helpful.
And is that your plan to switch over to Squarespace?
That is the plan, yes.
I've also found that to be a very user-friendly service. Although Shareable, our website, is also built on WordPress, just created by Automatic, so recommend that as well. And then on just the using the QR codes, are you creating different QR codes for your different marketing channels, like putting unique QR codes on flyers or stickers or anything else like that to track where people are seeing and coming to you from?
No, so we just have one QR code per whatever
Program.
place we're trying to take people to. We're not quite that advanced, but now that I hear you saying that, I'm like, wow, that's a really great idea.
It's not something that we've played with as well. I think it takes, like you're saying, it takes more time and focus to think about that. But so now there are so many great free QR code generators. It's not that big of a lift to be able to create unique codes and then be able to track things in that way. At the beginning of your presentation, you talked a little bit about some of that basic stuff, right? Not just creating a logo, but creating a visual brand identity. And I'm wondering, is that stuff that you did with the Adobe Suite? Are there other tools that you would recommend people use to create their visual identities?
Yeah, so everything that I've created for the tool library is either in Photoshop, Illustrator, or InDesign. But again, all of those tools do have a bit of a learning curve. And I was just introduced to them through my studies in urban planning. So it made sense to jump into those. But from what I've seen Canva can do, I think it has a lot of the same functionalities, and can really make that a lot more streamlined. Once you've got a color, once you've got a typeface, I'm pretty sure Canva, you can just create themes where it's going to apply those across the board to this social media post or this flyer because it's free. It's really a really fantastic resource. I do love that they've made that free to nonprofits. And then for me, I always start designs just with pencil and paper and in my notebook. So just like doodles, brainstorming. It's a really great activity, I think, to do with your volunteers and with your board if you're thinking about, maybe updating your logo, or if you don't have a logo yet. I think it's a really great kind of team building activity that you can do with your community of people.
There's questions about where to find those QR generators. I don't know if there's one that you specifically use or not.
I use SVG vector QR code generator. So for folks that aren't in the design space, vectors are basically they are not pixel based, they're point and line based. So you can basically scale them up to as big as you want or scale them down to as small as you want. So with this QR code generator, you'll get an SVG, which I believe you can still work with in Canva. It's totally free. But again, you can scale it up to the size of a billboard or down to something that's going to fit on a little sticker.
And you just mentioned billboards. Have you done anything with billboards yet?
We have not, but we do have one side of our building is basically a blank brick wall. So we're excited to potentially do a mural. So thinking about taking some of those design assets and aesthetics and like how do we apply that to the side of a building as part of a mural.
I like it. Using the space that you have.
If I may, I would
Yeah.
love to just give a quick point on website design. It's really easy to focus on the aesthetics of a thing and forget that the functionality is the key point, and that you're going to have a huge demographic of people with different amounts of digital literacy. And the better you do your website design, the less questions you'll have to answer. And so putting a little bit more time and effort into it up front helps a lot. We had a couple volunteers take us through user surveys where we just watched 4 or 5 people use our website, anywhere from a teenager who's more familiar with an Instagram mobile version, and my mother who was in her 70s, and watching them do things you wouldn't expect and struggle through how to use this software, or just this basic interface, which serves to most of the world as your main face. So the main thing I'd recommend is, at least early on, don't sacrifice function for aesthetics. Very clearly up front, the things you want them to see: hours of operation, things like that, contact information. You will save yourself hours and hours of answering emails by making those points up front.
And we're
Yeah,
very
thanks for
inspired
sharing.
by your website, Vivek. So don't be mad if our new website looks somewhat similar to yours.
Please do. We actually, if you want to talk about it, I have a bunch of changes that still need to happen on deck. And I'm happy to share those out as they may be useful to folks.
And then I think that touches on question you wrote earlier about how useful it would be to have some sort of a design committee, across the Library of Things space, to be able to share some of these resources so we don't have to recreate the wheel every time. You mentioned that you've got at least a media committee. What are some of the other committees you have to get work done in the tool library? And it's because he's trying to get a sense of what tasks to prioritize.
So we've got development, really working on fundraising and sponsorships. We've got operations, which really focuses on in-shop inventory management, working with members, membership retention. We've got programs. So they are specifically focused on our outward facing programs, so our repair cafes and our service days, and hopefully soon to be DIY workshops. Communications is the newest one that we have. And then we'll have ad hoc committees that kind of can convene based on a specific need. So when we were looking for a new home, we had a spatial search committee. And now that we are trying to buy our building, we've got an acquisition task force working on funding, grant opportunities, the logistics of, if we have to get a mortgage, developing an operational plan for, okay, we've got renters upstairs now, how does that all work? We are really lucky that we've got a very much working board that is putting in time and hours and making this stuff possible, because again, there's no way I could put a newsletter together on top of everything else. So it's nice just to be able to, put together a few graphics and hit send, but definitely lean into your board. And also it's a great way. We encourage people to become committee members before they join the board, just so we can get a sense of, is this person a good fit? Are they actually going to do work? So over the past couple of years, that's really been the journey for people to join the board, is get them to join a committee first, and then if it works out, have them join the full board. And I would love to, if it is helpful, just throw all of our materials into a Drive folder where it's like postcards, business cards. If that is at all helpful, please reuse and recycle.
Thank you for that. And I think there's a lot of groups that will appreciate that. And maybe that's something that we can include as part of the Library of Things toolkit that we'll be producing after this collab is over. Definitely want to have a lot of links to resources just like that, so it's much easier to get started and to build out these libraries of things further. Just had one last question in here for you about all the swag that you have, all the merchandise and everything. Have you found that to be a money-making venture, or are you just using it really for marketing and outreach?
So it's not a big money maker. I would say last year we probably made about $2,000, $2,500. So not a huge part of revenue generation, but we don't spend a ton of time pushing that and really marketing it. So I think it could become bigger. But yeah, for us, after a certain number of months, all volunteers get hoodies and t-shirts, and so it is about like building that community. And then just when we're out at events, having the tool library and our tool library teal is always super nice.
Great. Thank you so much again for this presentation and sharing your experience with building out the brand at the tool library. Definitely appreciate it, and a lot of lessons, I think, not only for folks that are just getting started, but also for those that are already running existing libraries of things and ways to integrate that. I definitely love your Clippy inspired mascots, and think about how to bring some more of that into design that we're doing at Shareable as well.